ça va? And hello, how are ya? Sorry, I don't know why I'm awkward about starting this video. I just got home yesterday from visiting my mom because I spent the holidays with her. So I thought, why not make a video talking about what I got for Christmas? Because your girl did not only get one, but two sewing machines. Now, before you think me completely spoiled, this was actually an accident. One sewing machine is actually from my girlfriend who got it from her mom, who doesn't use it anymore. And for the other one, my mom and my boyfriend collabed and bought a brand new one for me. They did it without knowing about each other's gift idea, and obviously I didn't know because it was supposed to be a surprise, which I'm actually not too mad about because I do not trust myself not to break one, so I'm glad I have an extra one. But also, I was so happy that they got them for me and thought of me that way. I'm still super excited. So maybe a little bit of context. If you don't want to hear it, skip to this timestamp. I grew up with my mom, but mostly my grandma sewing. My mom still has her sewing machine at home that she got, I think, she got it from my grandma, and it's pretty old, but it's also working perfectly still. So growing up, I was a theater kid. I know, shocking, but my grandma often sewed me costumes for the school plays that I participated in, and that was kind of my first contact with sewing. Though to be fair, as a child I didn't think it was too interesting. I was just glad that, you know, my grandma could make me costumes. But I've been really interested in sewing myself for a few years now. I don't even know how long, because I'm really into watching people sew historical clothing or trying to kind of dupe clothing that they saw online that they liked. One of my favorite YouTubers is Rachel Maxkey. I can't, I'm so sorry, I'm genuinely not trying to be funny here. Her and Bernadette Banner. I also really enjoyed the content of Sarah Spaceman, who does a lot of cosplay sewing videos, which is also something of an interest of mine. The one and only thing I have ever sewed myself is a circle skirt that I made with the help of my mom, to be fair, and my mom was also nice enough to let me use her sewing machine. To be fair, the skirt is very far from perfect. It's kind of weird fitting sometimes. The fabric is actually made from old bed sheets that I got at the thrift store. But you know what? Despite it not looking perfect, I am so proud of myself for actually finishing it. I think it took about 5 days for me to finish it, and most of the time was spent with my mom explaining to me how things work and how the sewing machine works. Now, my second project is something I actually have a pattern for, because the circle skirt was not really a pattern, it's just a circle and then a smaller circle cut out where my waist goes, you know. So I actually purchased a pattern on Etsy for a really beautiful blouse. It's kind of piratey, kind of fits my Our Flag Means Death hyperfixation, and I'm so excited to try it out, and I thought I would take you on this journey with me. No! I'm sorry, I accidentally moved my camera without meaning to. Most videos on YouTube that I have found are by people who are very experienced in sewing, which does make sense because you don't want your failures to be out in the world, but apparently I'm a masochist, so this is me trying to learn how to sew. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't also use a bed sheet that I got at the thrift store. I really like this color. It's purple, magenta, wine red and it also has, I don't know if you can see it on the camera very well, it has this really cute pattern, and I think it's gonna look amazing, and I'm so hyped. I am going to try and sew my first shirt.
Hi. Hello. I'm not really sure how to start this section of the video, so let me just try a little something different.
Good day everyone! It is 3:17 p.m. on the 10th of February here in Hobbiton. Today's news is that I finished sewing my shirt.
So yeah, the good news is I ended up finishing my shirt. The bad news is it took 2 tries. And long story short, now I know why people aren't filming their first attempts at sewing a project. Every time I thought everything was going well, things were working out how I wanted them to, and I set up the camera, I swear to God, every time something ended up going wrong. Every single time. Okay, actually, sorry, this lip color is not working for me. I don't like it. Hope it doesn't look too weird. I'm really sorry. I couldn't stand looking at it anymore, so I decided to change it up a little bit. Like I said, the whole thing ended up kind of being a disaster, but let me step back and explain what all went wrong. First of all, I did not expect it to take that long to glue together all the pages for the sewing pattern and cut them out, but it took really long. I think it was one of the longest processes in this project, which maybe also could be because it was my first time doing that and I didn't want to fuck up. I don't know. It took really long. It was really boring. I was so glad when it was over. Then I cut out the fabric and I do have my failed project right here. But the fabric is like not super stretchy, but kinda, and it made cutting it out really hard. But I did my best. I also went to a sewing supply store and bought interfacing. And I know the pattern said that I should use interfacing, but honestly, it ended up making everything worse because the layers of interfacing and fabric were so thick that my sewing machine ended up struggling with it. Maybe I was also just not doing it right because sewing on the interfacing did not work well. The employee was super sweet, but she just cut off like a length of the interfacing and didn't tell me which side was what side, like which way I should put it down to iron it on so that it actually sticks. So it ended up either not sticking or sticking to the iron. Then I used a wet cloth to put between the iron and the fabric and the interfacing, and then it ended up sticking to the wet cloth. I googled, I couldn't figure it out. In the end, I just decided to just put it there because I was going to sew it in anyway, but yeah, it was not good. Sewing the torso part actually went really well, but I did notice really quickly that it actually was pretty short on me. I do like my clothing a bit longer so that it goes over my butt and over my thighs and stuff, but it was like really high, which I didn't like, but I also didn't know how to fix it at the time, so I just went with it. And then came the sleeves. I hated gathering them. Now I've done a little bit more research. Now I know how I could do it a bit easier for me. Either do 2 gathering stitches, or I saw someone do a very loose zigzag stitch on top of a very sturdy piece of yarn, so that actually pulling it through was a lot easier, but I was struggling. The yarn broke again and again and again, and so I ended up just sewing really short bursts. So I would go this and then this, so that the thread didn't have as much fabric it needed to gather, but it looked really not good. Let me show you my abomination. So it really does not look good. The gathering is extremely uneven. I don't like it at all. But at the time, I was just happy it was working. So now comes the part where everything messed up. So for the button facing, I decided to use the part of the bed sheet that was embroidered, with these little flowers that are really cute. But what ended up happening, because of the thickness, like I said, of the fabric and the interfacing, it's really thick, plus the embroidery, it ended up snagging when I tried to do the buttonholes. I have a buttonhole foot for my sewing machine, and it is so fiddly. It kept sticking. I could not manage to do it. At first, a few went okay, but then it just went downhill very quickly. What is that? It does not look good. Yeah, I cried and ended up scrapping it. Originally, I had set myself the goal of finishing this blouse before my birthday, which is the 16th of January, but that obviously didn't happen. So after my birthday on the 22nd of January, I went to the thrift store again and picked out some more fabric. I got some really pretty bed sheets, and I also got a curtain that I really liked. It was this like off-white. And that's what I decided to go with for my second attempt. The curtain fabric was a lot less stretchy, it was a bit stiffer and much easier to work with, I'll be honest. Cutting out the fabric was way easier, and pinning everything in place also was easier. Then I decided to not do gathering stitches. I ended up folding it into very even folds. Folding it into folds, revolutionary. Let me just show this to you. Like, comparing it to the other arms is like, it's very different, and I like it a lot more. I used my failure as a little bit of a learning experience. Like I said, I changed up the way I gathered the arms. I also ended up altering the pattern a little bit. I cut the torso parts out way longer. Like I said, I didn't like where it sat. And I have like really big arms. Like they're really big. So with my first attempt, it was really hard to get my arms into the sleeves. It did not feel good. So I decided to make like the armholes bigger and the sleeves wider. And I did that just honestly very recklessly and willy-nilly. I'm so lucky it ended up working out, honestly. I don't know how I did it. I will probably end up transferring it to the paper pattern I still have, because if I do end up making this shirt again, I want to know how big the armholes actually need to be. So yeah, I need to transfer that to the pattern, but they're so much more comfortable now. Like I said, everything ended up going well, except for that I broke like a few sewing needles on the sleeves because the gathered fabric was very thick. So I bought new needles, and I bought needles for jeans and canvas fabrics that are like really sturdy, and that ended up working pretty well. And then I went to the step where everything messed up the first time, the buttonholes. They actually worked out pretty well, I have to say. I did have to sew on two by hand, and they do not look that amazing. The most upper ones, because once again, there's like seams there that are like making the fabric a bit thicker, and thus making the foot of the sewing machine just catch on it, so it did not work out. I was very close to having like a little bit of a panic because I did not want to mess this one up as well, because I was really proud of how it turned out. But yeah, I sewed these two on by hand. They do not look as nice as the ones sewn by the machine, but they are functional. And then the last thing I did was just sew on the buttons. My hand sewing really needs some work, I'll be honest. But the buttons are on. They are very much on, and yeah, they're cute. I don't know what else to say. With all that said, during the process, I was panicking a lot, and I was really nervous because I didn't want to mess up again. But overall, I learned a lot. And there's something so special about wearing something and it actually looking good. I think it looks really good. Like the first attempt, even when I was still in progress, it was kind of meh, yeah, okay, whatever. It's a shirt I will wear like at home. This, I would wear this out, like for real. I think it looks gorgeous. Maybe my ego is a bit inflated, but also the pattern is just amazing. And now the reveal. I'm just really proud of myself, not only for sewing this, but also actually seeing it through. I do have a big problem with starting things and not following through when things get hard, because how dare I not be good at this thing immediately. But yeah, it went really well, and I'm excited. And I have a few ideas floating around in my head on what to do next, and I'm really excited. And I think I can use the skills that I accumulated now to learn more and to get better at it. And yeah, sewing cosplays is also like a big motivation for me. Speaking of, shout out to Lizard Lee. I just found their channel and it kept me company while I was sewing on buttons, so that was fun. Oh no! Sorry, the camera died when I was just about to wrap this up, so let's try and make this quick. I learned a lot. I am planning on learning a lot more in the future. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, even though it was pure chaos. And maybe I'll see you in my next one. Bye!